Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Grounding. My name is Brian Boyd. Today's topic is use your talents wisely. Before we dive to this episode today, I would love to thank everyone for tuning in, no matter where you may be. And I truly hope and pray that with this episode, God will inspire you to go after your dreams and to use all the resources and gifts that He's given you in order to make sure that those things come true. With that being said, everyone, let's go ahead and dive into the episode today titled Use Your Talents Wisely. And this is something that, of course, as you could guess by the title, we're going to be talking about talents today. And this came from really most of my personal biblical study. Once again, it's so funny because now it seems like most of my grounded episodes are starting to center around whatever phase of life that I'm in. And it's beautiful because the parable of the talents, which is the thing that we're going to be talking about tonight, is really symbolic of my own personal journey in ministry. And it's something that is used as a reminder by the Lord from time to time to remind me that everything that He's given me is there for a reason. And that is true for everybody else that's out there, because God didn't just give you the dream that you have. He didn't just give you the gifts and your abilities. He didn't just give you the ideas that He's placed inside of you. He didn't just give you the people that's in your lives for no reason. He gave you all of these things and all of these instances, including the time that we have here on this earth, to fulfill the things that you have on your heart to do. And whether you're going in that path or not, whether you have been on the journey and you've taken the stop for a second, or if you're somebody that's going all in right now and just completely motivated on your goals, this is an episode that anybody could pretty much get something for, because the parable of talents addresses both cases. It addressed the people that actually go out, they remain confident, they remain diligent in the stuff that they do, and it also focuses on the people that may not be up to the task. They may not have the confidence to go after those things. They may be fearful. They may be afraid that they won't be able to accomplish those things. They may simply be lazy and procrastinating and not wanting to do those things in the moment, or for whatever reason, they just don't want to go after those goals. Regardless of whatever it is, regardless of what side of the spectrum that you're on, the ultimate goal of this episode is to really help you understand and realize that, once again, everything that God has given you, He's given to you for a reason. And instead of, hiding those things and burying those things and leaving them to the wayside for you and not using them, that you should pick all of those things up and get on track and do the things that He has placed on your heart to do. And to do so, and without further ado, everyone, let's go ahead and break into the story and talk about what I mean. All right. And once again, we're going to be coming from Matthew chapter 25, verses 14 through 30. And since this is such a long exposition in the Bible, I'm going to try to summarize the story as much as I can. And I'm also going to use Bible verses here and there. All right. So to pick up where the story starts off in Matthew chapter 25, verse 14 again. All right. It says that the kingdom of heaven is like a man going on a journey who called his servants and entrusted to them his property. To one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, to another 1, to each according to his ability. So the thing that I want to point out here, right, is that it says that the master is going on a faraway journey, and now he's leaving his wealth before he goes to his servants to go and do stuff with. All right. And he leaves them 5 talents, 2 talents, and 1 talent. Okay. And for those who don't know, the talent itself is like a measure of money. Okay. It's just like a gold plate. It's just like a silver plate. It's a measure that allows you to have a certain amount of value or worth attached to it. Right. And a biblical talent in today's time would be the equivalent of over $1.4 million for 1 talent. So the master didn't just go on this journey and lead them with chains, so to speak, but he left them like money that they could actually create generational wealth with and all of the things that we seek today. And that's what makes the story so significant, because he also gave them each of those talents based on what they could actually handle. So the one that got the 5, he could actually handle 5, which is the equivalent of about $7 to $8 million. Okay. The one that had got the 2, which was about $3 million, he was capable of handling $3 million. And then the one that got just the $1.4 million, which, compared to the other 2, that's really not that much. At the same time, he's still able to handle that $1.4 million. And to be honest with you all, why that is such a large amount of money, I don't know too many people, not the people. I'm not talking to y'all, I'm talking to the people y'all know that can handle that kind of money, man. Because that's a lot to deal with. And the master, he just gave this to them in a lump sum. All right. So imagine, somebody, going on a journey or whatever, and they give you $1.4 million. Like, this is non-tax deductible. This is just straight cash. And they're telling you to go and invest this money. All right. Keep this in mind as we get ready and we go through this story. Okay. So, but getting back to the actual story, because this is where the stuff starts to take space. Okay. So Matthew chapter 25, verses 16. All right. It says that the one that had received the 5 talents went and traded and made 5 talents more. And the one that made 2 talents, he went and did the same. He went and made 2 talents more. But the thing that comes here now, we get to the third servant in verse 18, because it says that he that received the 1 talent went and dug into the ground and hid the master's money. So right here, the thing that we see, right, the first one goes and make 5. The second one goes and make 2. They both make 100% increase on what they had. All right. So now the first one has 10, the second one has 4, but then the third one is the one that didn't do the work at all. All right. He took the equivalent of $1.4 million. And instead of taking it to a bank, instead of spending it, instead of doing anything else with that money, he goes and digs a hole in the ground and buries the money. Okay. I can't even imagine just how crazy that is, man. You get that kind of money, you go and just bury it in the ground and leave it that way. But the reality of it, and it translates to what we have today, is that even why that is a weight of money and why that's money at that particular time, people do that stuff all the time with the things that they have. They do that with their ideas, because they may very well have $1 million ideas. They may very well have $1 million resources. They may have money that instead of saving it and using it towards something that's going to make them money, they're out wasting it towards other stuff. The same thing that goes with our education. Some people don't value, reading and writing and all of these things as much as they should, because it's with those things that you're actually able to build your wealth. You're able to build upon your dreams that you have, and you're able to leverage the knowledge and the skill set that you now have in order to further your business goals in life. And the thing that comes here, even right quick, is just how the other 2 went out and they traded and invested. They put time and they put effort and they put work behind the money that they had, and they were able to double those things. Today's side, they was able to, flip the 5 into the 10 and flip the 2 into the 4. But the other person, the one that had the 1 talent, the one that had the simple 1 million, he just went and buried it in the ground. And I guess, the summary of this particular point or this particular subset of verses is, don't be the guy that buried in the ground. Don't bury your stuff. Don't bury your gifts. Don't bury your ideas. Don't bury your talents, no matter what people say, no matter what you even think about them yourself. Go for them. Take the risk. Take the time, take the effort, invest into those things, because while they may not all be massively successful, they still have the opportunity to get you further along the path of life than you are right now. Right. And it takes no time, it takes no effort to just do those things, because you don't know, in the future, just how much you may miss out on. Anyway, to continue the story. All right. So after a while, the master comes back, all right, and he calls his servants to ask them what they did, all right. And the first one comes to him, the one that had the 5. He says, "Master, you gave me 5. I made 5 more. Here's what I have." And the master said, "Well done, good and faithful servant. You've been faithful over a few things. I will make you a ruler over much. Enter into the joy of your Lord." And the second servant goes and does the same thing, all right. He comes back in. He says that, "Master, you gave me 2 talents, and here I have 2 talents more." This is in Matthew chapter 25, verse 22. And the master said to him, "Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a little. I will set you over much. Enter into the joy of your Lord." Now, before I continue the story, this right here goes into the aspect of what happens to the first two servants, all right? The ones that went out and did all of this work. And after they did all of this work and they came back to the master when he asked them, what they did with their time and with their money, they were able to show him the things that they did. They were able to show them the fruit of what they did, the fruit of their labor, the return on their work. They were able to give him an actual depiction of what their work looked like while he was gone. And this is the equivalent of all of the people out there that are working on their goals right now. Yeah, they may not make that stuff right back. They may not even make all of the stuff back like the other two servants did, but they will be some level of productivity. There will be something that you can actually see tangible that happens over time from all of the time, all of the effort, and all of the work that you invest into whatever it is that you're doing. And because of that, they were rewarded for the stuff that they did. The master rewarded them. And God does the same thing for us, because if we're truly out here doing his work, if we're truly out here building businesses and ideas and stuff for his kingdom, then God is going to reward us for his work. And when you look at the first servant and the second servant, although they had made different amounts of money, he gave them the same thanks, he gave them the same gratitude, and he gave them the same reward at the end, which was more stuff than what they had when they first started. The point that I'm trying to make here is that, regardless of wherever you are, wherever you start, the only thing that you really have to do is just get in the game and try. You're not going to always succeed. You may not always conquer every balance, every challenge in the forefront or at the beginning, but over time, as you learn how to manage those fears, as you learn how to go through those obstacles, you get better every time. The more you learn, the better you can do, and the better that you can refine the stuff that you're already doing. And in the end, it'll all pay off, just like it paid off for the first two servants. Now, to go into the other story, to get into the third servant and to get into the one that buried his talent, all right, we're going to pick up on his story in Matthew chapter 25, verse 24. And it says that the one that had received the one talent came forward saying, Master, I knew you to be a hard man, reaping where you did not sow and gathering where you scattered no seed. So I was afraid and I went and hid your talent in the ground. Here you have what is yours. And so we see in this particular verse, we see the explanation of the third servant. He said that he knew his master to be a hard man. He knew him to be a grievous man. And he says that he reaps where he has not sowed and gathered where he had not strawed, which he's basically saying, in translation, that I know you're a person that if I go out here and do all of this work, you're going to try to take all of the money back. You're going to try to take the credit. You're going to try to take the glory for the work that I have rightfully done. And I wasn't about to do that. So I went and buried the $1.4 million. I put that money in the ground. And now that you come back, here's your money back, because I didn't do anything with it. And with that story, that's how the master saw the Lord. And the Lord, and the core of it is nothing like that at all. God doesn't give us things, although they may seem difficult, although they may seem impossible, although they may seem overwhelming. They're not overwhelming, because if they were, God would have never gave it to us. Hence the very beginning of the story, because it said that he gave them all of these talents. He gave them all of these billions of dollars according to what they could handle. So God is never going to give you anything that you can't handle. And although that sounds very cliche, it's the truest thing in the world, because the Bible reassures us in so many ways. It even goes into the form of temptation. The things that we're faced with, the adversity that we're faced, it says that God will never put us in anything more than we can bear. And I can tell you, for without a shadow of a doubt, that there are a lot of things that I can deal with. But in the opposite end, there's a lot of stuff that I can't deal with. And I know the Lord ain't gonna never put me in those situations, because he know I can't deal with them, man. It's the same thing out there for some people. There's some situations that you just cannot get into, but there are things that will pressure you. There are things that will try to entice you, but there's always a way out of those situations. And the same thing applies even to our work, because if God gave you the idea to start a business, if he gave you an idea for a product, or if he gave you an idea for, something that's supposed to come out here and help other people, then you have to use those things because he gave you the idea so that you could implement the thing, so that you can execute it, so that you can build a thing here on this earth. Anyway, but moving on, getting a little carried away. It says in verse 26 that the master responds and answers to him. And he says that you wicked and slothful servant, you knew that I reaped where I had not sown and gathered where I scattered no seed. Then you ought to have invested my money with the bankers, and at my coming I should have received what was my own with interest. So then take the talent from him and give it to him who has the 10 talents. For everyone who has will more be given, and he will have an abundance. But for the one who has not, even what he has will be taken away. Now, to sum all of that up, everyone, basically the master called him wicked and lazy because if this had been the case, if he had really been this hard man, if he had really been this person that wanted to take credit for something that he did not do, then he told the servant that he should have went and invested his money with the bankers so that he could have got interest off of the money that was being worked. Okay. He should not have went and buried the money in the ground. And I believe that in this, the servant was considered wicked and slothful because he not only went against the wishes of the master, which was to go and trade the money that he gave him, but he didn't even try to do this thing in the beginning. He simply went and buried the thing in the ground. Now, whether that was out of fear, whether it's out of reluctancy, it doesn't matter what it was out of. He went and did this thing anyway. And that's why when it comes to life, we can't let anything hold us back. We can't let fear especially keep us from doing this thing, because I can't tell you just how many times over the years, especially in my younger years, especially like when I would bury things that God would give me. I would bury my different talents. I would bury my ideas. I would bury the things because I didn't want to work on them. I didn't believe that I had the ability. But the reality of it is that if I could go back now and do all of those days over, I'm telling you, I would be in a completely different situation than I am right now. But the opposite end, I wouldn't be here to tell you this story because, I would be doing so much far ahead. But the moral of that particular story, I guess, in the instance is that, take the chance to do those things. You can't let fear hold you back. And the last thing that you want to do is look back on your past and regret and looking at the time that you lost and the effort and the opportunity that you have lost over not pursuing the stuff that's there. And that's exactly what happened to the servant, because he didn't do those things at all. And because he didn't do those things, he lost the money that master gave him. And it went to the person that had the most money. And I guess that's really the last point of the story. And that's really the moral of the story, because if you have something and you don't use it, it's like that old saying, you lose it, because God will take that stuff from you. If you have an idea that you're not working on, that God gave you, and you don't inactive after a certain period of time, God will give that idea to somebody else, and somebody else will go out there and do that thing and work on it. God will choose other people to do whatever it needs to be done. It says in the book of Proverbs that many are the plans of a man's heart, but it's the Lord's purpose that prevails. And that simply means, in lack of a better word, that whatever God needs to be done here on this earth, he will get done. Now, if you want to cooperate with him or not cooperate with him, that's up to you. But regardless of you being in it or out, God is going to do what he needs to do. And honestly, at this point in my life, I've missed out on too many opportunities. I've missed out on so much time. I missed out on so much things that I really could have had for me to start continuing missing out on this stuff right now. All right. So everything that God has given me to do, although I may not want to do all of it, I'm doing it all because I don't want to miss out anymore. And I don't want you all out there either to miss out on this stuff. So if God is giving you something today, and I know this sounds like a sermon and everything, y'all, I ain't trying to be there. I'm just on one today, all right? Because, this story is deep for me each and every time I read this thing. And I just want y'all to not miss out on those opportunities either. So go after the idea, go after your dreams, go after your goals. Be like the first two servants, the ones that went out and traded. No matter how much work it takes, no matter how much they got to do, go out there and do those things. Do what you got to do. Learn what you need to learn. Partner who you need to partner with, but get it done. Do not be like the person that went and buried the money. You do not need to bury your talents anymore. You do not need to bury your resources into something that doesn't matter. You don't need to spend your time on things that will not benefit you or push you further ahead in life. But you have to use all that you can, as much as you can, towards the things that matter, towards the things that are going to progress, towards the things that God has placed on your heart, because that's where true fulfillment comes from. That's where generational success comes from. That's where wealth comes from. That's where prosperity and peace comes from. That's where healthy relationships come from. Because if you do all of those things and you work within the will of God and you fulfill these things when they're supposed to be fulfilled, then all of these other things is going to come. All right. And that's not my promise. That's the promise that God gives us. So I guess to sum up this episode, because it is kind of getting a little too long for my liking right now. The whole thing, as I said before, is to use your talents wisely, okay? No matter what God has given you, no matter what he has placed in your life to do, go after those things 100%. Use every single resource. Use every dime. Use every ounce of knowledge he's given you. Use every single idea towards fulfilling your goals, okay? Because there's truly no better fulfillment in life than doing that very thing. All right. And that's why, even at this point in my life, like I said, while I may not have everything that I want, I'm truly happy with the position that I'm in. And I'm just I'm overly excited for the future that's coming, because I'm going down the path that God has me going, and I'm using everything that he has given me throughout the years to make sure that the next 5 to 10 years of my life is lined up towards bringing these ideas that he's given me to pass. And that's why, I work so hard with this. And that's even why Grounded changed as much as it does over time, because the Grounded that you see now isn't the Grounded 2 months ago, and it's not the Grounded from 6 months ago. Definitely. That's why I work so hard, even with this. And while I have kind of put my foot on the brake with this in order to focus on other things, it brings back to the whole concept of what I'm saying about always be progressing, always throw ideas out there, always try, even if you fail from time to time, because it always pays off in the very end. And I want you all to take that, if you take nothing else with this episode, and go with that 100%. But anyway, I'll talk. I hope y'all got something out of this episode today. Like I said, I know I've been all over the place, but y'all, I'm just excited, man. I'm really young. This is a beautiful year. Like I said, this is a beautiful passage of scripture. I absolutely love this parable, and I'm sure y'all can probably tell just how excited I am just saying it, but I'm really mean it, because it reminds you to be intentional about everything that you have. And like I said, you just have to be intentional with life. And when you're intentional, just sit back and watch the Lord bring all these things to pass as you work these things out slowly but surely, and he will blow your mind. I absolutely believe that. But you just have to stay faithful. You have to stay committed to him, keep your close relationship with him, and listen to him as he leads you and guides you down the path that you're supposed to go. But at the end of the day, use everything that he's given you. Use all of your gifts. Don't be afraid to use all of that stuff, because he gave it to you for a reason. Don't ever feel ashamed. Don't ever feel misled. Don't ever feel discouraged when people are talking about you. Let the people talk. Let the people do what they do. People will always talk about you. All right. That is what it is. Even as they always say, all publicity is good publicity. Don't let those people, don't let their ideas, don't let their beliefs stop you from achieving the stuff that you want to do. And most importantly, don't let your own thoughts and ideas stop you from doing the stuff that you're supposed to do, because we're our all worst enemies at the end of the day. We're our own harshest critics, and that we can oftentimes get even past the people that may scrutinize against us. We may not always be able to get past ourselves. All right. So remember, stay out your own way, stay committed to the goals, trust God through the process, and just keep working. Don't ever stop doing the stuff that he's placed on your heart to do, and you'll find good success. All right. Anyway, I love y'all. I've been on here way too long. I'll talk to y'all soon. All right. If you like the video, please be sure and like and share, and continue to be looking for more Grounded episodes. All right. In the meantime, y'all go out there. Y'all have an amazing day. Go after your dreams, and just want to let y'all know I love y'all, man. I'm rooting for y'all. Y'all take care. Be blessed. All right. My name is Brian Boyd. Y'all have a good day. Peace. Hey everyone, Brian here once again. Thank you so much for tuning in to Grounded. If these messages have been a blessing to you, please consider donating at thegroundedpodcast.com/donate. Furthermore, if you're looking for books and journals and other resources that will help improve your life, business, and relationships, please be sure to check those out at thegroundedpodcast.com/store. As always, it's been a blessing. I truly love each and every one of you, and I truly hope to see you all once again very soon. All right?